The Phoenician Scheme, if Mission Impossible is a Tom Cruise movie, the Phoenician Scheme is unfilmed de Wes Anderson and then some. So script by Anderson from a story by him and his regular collaborator, Roman Coppola. The cast includes, and of course it's very, very starry, so Benicio del Toro, Mia Thrippleton, Michael Cera, Riz Ahmed, Tom Hanks, Bryan Cranston, Matthew Almeric, Richard Ayoade, Jeffrey Wright, Scarlett Johansson, Benedict Cumberbatch, Rupert Friend, Hope Davis, Bill Murray, Uncle Tom Cobley and all. Now, here's the thing. No one goes to see a Wes Anderson movie expecting, normal, warm human relations. What you go for is the kind of the boxes within boxes, the crafted, everything sort of set up like a Kubrick shot in which everything is very, very sort of geometrical. And for me, there are two kinds of Wes Anderson movies. There are the ones which actually do strike a chord, and it's often a sort of tragicomic chord. So I mean, I love Royal Tenenbaums, I love Grand Budapest Hotel, which I thought was really, really funny. I loved Isle of Dogs. On the other hand, there are the quirky ones, the ones that just feel self-consciously quirky, and they are Darjeeling Limited, French Dispatch, Asteroid City. And I have to say that for me, right from the title, The Phoenician Scheme, it is firmly in the latter camp. And a lot of how you feel about it is going to depend on how you feel about the quirkier end of Wes Anderson. So the plot, although I use the word advisedly, the plot is basically laid out at the beginning with a series of boxes, labeled boxes, in which are a number of different things. And there is how do we say this? So he is Zsa-Zsa Corda, and he faces daily assassination attempts. The first time we meet him, he's on a plane, which then blows up, which he then survives. And it turns out he's kind of largely indestructible. But he's turned his back on his sons. He's disinherited them. He's appointed his only daughter, who is a nun, and as I said, is the film's ace card, as sole heir to his estate. And there is this new enterprise in which there is a gap that needs to be filled. So they need to do it by going to lots of different places and arranging different stuff with different people, all of whom are involved in a kind of quirky, esoteric caper-like, plot. And in a way, that's kind of the fact that I've just described it like that will tell you that at no point did any part of the plot touch me on an emotional level. What I thought I was watching was a very, very mechanical Wes Anderson film. And interestingly enough, I went back to look at my review of Asteroid City, and I was amazed by how much of what I thought about Asteroid City is exactly what I think about the Phoenician Scheme. I said, if you're a fan, you're going to be dazzled by the kind of meticulous imitation of life in miniature visual aesthetic. But I actually found myself swithering between being amused and just being irritated. I said that, the cameras do that Wes Anderson thing that they go pan, 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 up, down, left, right, in a kind of comedic way, which they do again. The dialogue is full of these kind of cutesy, deadpan explanations of what's going on, which you either find hilariously funny, and you were in the same screening as I was. There were quite a few titters in the audience. I didn't laugh once. I didn't laugh once, and that is a problem. And I think the issue for me is this, quite apart from the fact that I was obviously in a bad mood because you'd snubbed me and broken my heart, thanks for that. I think that there is, I've seen all of Anderson's movies, and I admire his craftsmanship and everything, but I think he walks a really thin line between the films that feel like an arch corduroy wearing exercise in box arrangement and the films that actually have some connection on a genuine emotional level. And despite the fact, as I said at the beginning, you don't go to Wes Anderson thinking what you're going to get is warm melodrama. The films that cut through are the films that actually really do connect on a human level. And the films that often don't are the ones that I think he thinks are hilariously funny because they're just constructions. And because I don't find that particularly funny, I just, I don't enjoy the films. I mean, I kind of lost patience with the title. I mean, the very fact that it's called The Phoenician Scheme slightly puts my teeth on edge.
Why?
Because then because it's like, pardon? The Phoenician Scheme. Meaning what? Oh, right. And then there's all these chapter things in which each chapter has got a funny, quirky little name, and each box has got a funny, quirky little thing. And there's an opening shot. There's the opening shot of a bathroom in which the tile pattern on the bathroom floor exactly matches the compressed size of the screen. And he's in the bath, and the attendants are sort of moving backwards and forwards, like the kind of Doll's House stuff. And there are times when that stuff works really well. The boxes within boxes, and I would say that Grand Budapest Hotel is a brilliant example of that. The way in which but I just thought, okay, this is one of the Wes Anderson films that I don't like. This is one of the ones in which he's going, ha 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 ha. Oh, very funny, very very witty, wild, and I don't find. Tell me what you thought.
Well, very interesting for me, because I think I can safely say now I am not a fan of Wes Anderson's work. I watched Rushmore in 1998 and I loved it. And I was like, I hadn't seen Bottle Rocket. I saw Rushmore. That was my introduction to Wes Anderson. And I was like, I cannot wait to see what this guy does next, because this is a whole new form of movie making that I've just not seen before. I really had problems with Royal Tenenbaums, didn't like it at all. Life Aquatic, Aquatic I liked a lot, and I thought, oh, okay, so he's just one of those guys that's very particular. Then Darjeeling Limited, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Moonrise Kingdom, I was just like, I'm done with this guy. I don't like any of those films. Grand Budapest Hotel was like a great Ealing comedy. I was like, oh my gosh, he's won me back. And Isle of Dogs, yes. I loved as well.
And Rafe Fiennes is funny. Rafe Fiennes is funny.
So
Rafe Fiennes is funny. And
Grand Budapest
and
Isle of Dogs great.
Isle of Dogs is the Dogs is the antidote to Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Absolutely.
Isle of Dogs is the antidote to Fantastic Mr. Fox.
So by the time I'm at Isle of Dogs, I'm like, I just don't know how to feel about this guy anymore. French Dispatch, Asteroid City. I hated Asteroid City.
Me too.
I felt offensively boring. And I have to say, Mark, having said all of that, the laughs that you heard in that screening were from me. I really enjoyed this film. I really enjoyed it. Did not expect to, was ready to loathe it. And I thought it was a really fun romp. I thought it did that thing of like, you know what, let's forget all the basically poncing around, not really doing anything. Let's just get right in there with a story, and I didn't care about any of the characters, but I loved the way they looked and spoke and interacted, and I thought it was just like completely opposite to Mission Impossible. It's just like, right, here's a guy, he's surviving a plane crash, he's a bit of a wrong 'un, or maybe he isn't. Let's find out. Let's go. And I just thought it barreled along, and I really enjoyed it, and I laughed all the way through.
Okay, this is really interesting to me because it sounds to me like you have many of the same issues with Wes Anderson that
massively.
I do. But what's interesting is that you and I sat in the same screening and essentially had totally different experiences of the film.
Yeah.
And this is why I was saying, when I was reviewing it just then, that it comes down to Wes Anderson can literally go either way. It can go, oh yeah, I'm with this, or I'm not with this. And I think my problem was I wasn't with it. I'm not sure at which point I wasn't. It's probably you offending me, hurting my feelings, just set everything up. But what's really fascinating was I didn't expect you to find it funny. I thought actually that I did, and I knew they said there was laughing in the thing. I didn't realize that was you.
That was me.
But there we go. In a nutshell, that is the perfect example of what happens with a Wes Anderson film, is that they can absolutely polarize you, and you can pretty much tell 5 minutes in which way it's going to go.
Yeah.
And if I imagine you laughed early.
I did, yeah. And I really enjoyed it, and I'm still not confident that I'll even remotely like whatever his next film is. The man has made 13 films. I now like 4 of them. 4 of 13. It's not great. It's not a great return.
Wow. No, but the ones that you really like, and you really enjoyed this, and you know comedy, and you found it funny.
I found it funny. For me, it was like it didn't have the same emotional punch of Grand Budapest Hotel. Like I say, from the start, I was very accepting of, okay, this is heightened. All the characters are cartoons. Benedict Cumberbatch's eyebrows are ridiculous in themselves. They sort of sum up how I feel about the characters. I don't care about the characters, but I watched it as you would watch, I don't know, like League of Gentlemen or something. I was like, this is just knockabout fun. And I felt it had that Ealing comedy feel at its heart, like Grand Budapest did. I mean, for me, Grand Budapest is the high watermark because it looks beautiful, but it's also wildly entertaining, emotional, and very, very funny. This is not that, but for me, it was a return to that kind of knockabout, silly romp that I want, rather than, ooh, look at how I've shot this. Ooh, look at this. Ooh, this person speaks in a way that human beings don't really speak. It's like, great, there's nothing else going on. There is stuff going on. And I laughed all the way through.
Listen, I'm so glad that we've done this show together, because in a way there is no clearer example of just how divisive Wes Anderson can be than our responses to this. And I'm delighted that both are represented here, because as I said, because I sat in that screen, and there's nothing weirder than sitting in a screening room when other people are laughing and you're not. And I didn't laugh once, like not once. And I've, joking aside about how hurt I was and all the rest of it, which obviously is true. But that thing about the recognition that other people are finding this funny but you're not is an interesting one, because it is and I do think that what happens with an Anderson movie is it happens early on. It's in the first 5 minutes, whether you're going to go with it or not. And my head just went, I'm not.
Fair enough. And like I say, only the fourth time I've gone with it.